Time and time again, people keep asking me, what's that cool mod that you've got on your screen when you do your commentaries with all the colours, the players' names, and all the stats and everything? It looks really cool. Where can I get it? Let's find out. Greetings YouTube, welcome to 0AD Newbie Rush. I'm Jim Cogan, and after seemingly forever, I finally have a new feature for you on 0AD mods. In this episode, I'll be looking at the latest version of the Boon GUI mod by eminent 0AD modder Langbart. Recent viewers of my channel will be very familiar with this mod, as it's the thing that does the rather wonderful stats overlay on my match replays. So it's the mod that I have something of a vested interest in, and it's fair to say without which I'd probably be well and truly shafted. Just before we begin, just as a quick aside, massive apologies to 0AD modder and the guy responsible for the lovely new terrain textures in the 0AD Alpha 25 release. Wow, get off your cell phone. They're also responsible for the seminal 0AD mod and game expansion Delenda Est, which I've been promising to cover on Newbie Rush for about 8 months now. So far I've been thwarted 3 times from finishing a video on this awesome mod, once by the launch of Alpha 25, once by moving house, and once by the fallout from COVID-19. Attempt number 4 is in progress, so rest assured I will get there, and hopefully you'll see that right here real soon. Right, BoonGui Mod, let's dive in. First of all, a very brief history lesson. As I said, this is a mod that's very close to my heart, but its origins lie in a few different places, and courtesy of a few different and prominent 0AD modders. So in the interest of giving credit where it's due, this is the story of how we ended up with the Boon GUI mod that we're about to take a look at. Early viewers of 0AD Newbie Rush will probably remember this, the useful but incredibly tiny stats overlay I used in the very first episode of the show. At that time, back in Alpha 23, this was the cutting edge method of displaying stats on the spectator screen. It is, of course, the infamous FGOD mod, created by esteemed 0AD modder FFFFFFF. That's 7 Fs, I believe. This mod was first popularised by Tom of the Tom0AD YouTube channel and quickly became the staple solution for broadcasting 0AD matches. I used it for quite a few of my first episodes until switching to Badosu's spec-stroke production mod with its much larger and clearer overlay and more logical positioning, and I continue to use that right the way through to the release of Alpha 24. And at that point, everything went a little bit pear-shaped. The extensive changes made to 0AD with the release of Alpha 24 meant that a lot of existing Alpha 23 mods no longer worked without further modification, and the spec production mod was a victim of this. Viewers of Newbie Rush from this period will probably remember an ill-fated attempt of mine to do a commentary without a stats overlay, which I have to say was a very torturous experience. And then another eminent 0AD modder, Nanny, stepped up to the plate and with a superhuman effort was able to transplant the original overlay from the FGOD mod into his latest iteration of the equally legendary Autosiv mod, which he'd managed to make Alpha 24 compatible. So, on the one hand, I was able to do videos with an overlay again, but on the other hand, I was back to using the tiny overlay I'd abandoned some months before. Enter Langbart, who saved the day by offering to develop a custom mod just for me, and the Newbie Rush Observation and Commentary mod, or the NROC mod, was born. Langbart continued to update this mod throughout Alpha 24, but with the release of Alpha 25, he decided to make it available, combined with aspects of other mods he'd produced, into one big Uber mod that was available for everyone. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the Boon GUI mod we all know and love. Langbart has just released version 1.6.5, and so this seems like an optimal opportunity to check it out fully. We'll have a look at what I use it for, plus some of the features that perhaps you haven't seen me use but might be useful for you, and a look at what we might expect from this mod in the future. The mod is available directly from the Boon GUI thread in the mod section of the 0AD forums. Link of course in the description, and installation for PC at least is fairly simple. Download the auto-installing executable and run it. 0AD will probably have a mini freak out and spit errors at you. Sorry, it's an Alpha 25 thing. But save and exit and restart the game and the mod should be in place. Your experience on other platforms may vary, but it's my understanding it works on Linux and Mac as well. So what does the BoonGui mod give? Well, you get this slightly more efficient game menu setup with the ability to often skip entire screens if you don't need them, such as when exiting a game. You also get this quite drastic revision of the layout to the multiplayer lobby. Some users have reported that this takes a bit of getting used to as it flips around quite a few of the familiar boxes and options, but I don't have too many problems with it, I'm used to it now. You also get some additional graphical indicators of the skill levels of players in the lobby, so you can better choose your next victim or see which pro players you want to pit your wits against, or in my case completely dodge for fear of inevitable humiliation. But it's in the spectator mode where we get to see the overlay and the true strength of the mod shines through. And here we are looking at the BoonGui overlay in action. You'll notice you get the alpha version of the game, the name of the map, the size of the map and the biome, as well as the max population for each team set up in that game. Everything else is pretty much normal sort of 0AD configurable standard, but obviously you'll notice we get the very different mini map down here. It's been moved to the left hand side, it's bigger, and as a bit of a throwback to one of the previous mods that Langbart was working on, which was a visibility and accessibility mod, you'll notice the colours are all more vivid to avoid clashes in team games. You also see little things like more vivid colours and larger 3D objects and sprites in terms of things like berries here, or fruit, in this case fruit and berries, to make them easier to see on the map. The colour schemes in the minimap are reflected in the game, so all of the colours are a lot more vivid to avoid some of those obvious colour clashes that were in previous versions of 0AD and in the vanilla game. For instance, the green line here and the green troops were almost impossible to see, especially if you've got the silhouette masking on. I'll just put that on to show you. Here we go. So green unit silhouettes in the past were almost impossible to see against trees. So both as a player yourself and if you were attacking, now they look like they've been sort of covered in radioactive waste, but it's effective. You can see them all, more so with the orange and the red. So you get less clashes of the colour. Things like the rocks have this enhanced design, so they're much easier to differentiate stone from metal, and all of the colours, like I said, they're all set on this background. We did sort out the difference between pink and purple in a recent update. Thanks to Langbart for reacting on the feedback to that, so we can now see more clearer differences. The overlay itself has some interesting features. You have the team number, so team 1 and team 2. The colours are reflected by the colour of the lead player in each team. So team 1, headed up by Noob Dude in this example, are all red, and not invited here, all this kind of pinky fuchsia colour. You get the player's name, you get their rating if they have one, you get a short sort of amalgamated version of the civ they are and which phase they're in. As you may have seen from previous games, this indicates the phase, and when they're phasing up it gets highlighted. Next up, you've got the number of research technologies. So this is all of the wood gathering and farming upgrades that each player has. and you can gauge who is basically updating their sieve and making them more efficient, or in cases of the blacksmith, more deadly, by use of this column. You have current populations and their population max, and when pop max is hit, you see, just saw it briefly for Mr. Michael here, that flash to indicate that the player has managed to pop cap themselves. I think he might have done it again here. Let's have a look, see if it does it. He's probably building a house as we speak. Next up, you have a breakdown of some of the units you have. The supplemental troops or units are basically female citizens, they are traders, they are priests, they are basically non-combatants. So they are lined up in the sup column. Army is all of your infantry and cavalry combined. So this is your total army size, and then you have it broken down by infantry and cavalry here. You may remember in the NROC mod, we had it broken down sort of infinitely. You could have female citizens. We were seeing ranged and melee infantry and ranged and melee cavalry as well. All of those extra stats that were being used, unfortunately, did somewhat knacker up the performance of the game in replay mode. So Langbart has carved a few of those out. So we just have sup, army, infantry and cavalry. But one thing that was added back in that I kind of insisted on is the champions column. Although one or two of the, what I would say would be quite critical champions, the example I could think of as Security Commandos for the Spartans, are no longer considered to be champions. So this perhaps isn't quite as useful as it used to be. But anybody producing bona fide champions in the game, you'll see them and the numbers that they've produced in this column here. And this is the column for siege engines, so catapults, battering rams, bolt shooters, etc. Next up, the very important stats that are food, wood, stone and metal, all the resources. You'll notice throughout here, anything in gold indicates a lead. So Mr. Michael has the highest population. Anything in red indicates the lowest. Mama 15 here, population of 40 is the lowest. Same with army, supplemental units, and the breakdown of each army. So Noob Dude has the most cavalry. This is reflected through all the units, all of the food, wood, stone, and metal resource stats as well. We also get my favorite columns, frankly, the number of units that each team has killed and the number that they've lost, and the corresponding kill-death ratio. We love the kill-death ratio. And a recent addition is this circle on the end. It's not been utilized in this example we're looking at, but if anybody at the start of the game or at any point goes in for the cartography upgrade, the one that gives you shared vision throughout your allies, anybody picks that, this gets illuminated into a full colored circle instead of a hollow dot. So that is remarkably useful, you've got to admit. And that's the basis of the overlay. The overall mod gives you, like I said, better visibility. It gives you this incredible overlay, which gives you a visual, numerical sort of snapshot of what's happening in the game. It is 100% the most essential thing for me doing my videos, and it's great for analysis after the fact when you're watching a replay of your games and you want to know where you won it, or where your opponent lost it, or where you made mistakes, or where you were slow. Then this is the mod for you. And like I said, without it, 0 AD Newbie Rush would be a very, very different viewer experience. And that's the mod. I would urge everybody to try out. It's kind of essential. If you're doing anything with YouTube, this is the perfect mod. It's far clearer than the small overlays that used to get down here with the FGOD or with the current AutoCiv mod. And it just tells you everything you need to know, and it's continually being improved. One thing that is definitely coming in a future version, it's a feature that people don't necessarily know too much about. If we bring up a barracks here and have a look, I don't know if we'll be able to see its structure tree. No, we're going to have to quit out and I'll show you. This is an example of being able to bypass the summary here and get straight back to the main menu. But if we look at the structure trees for one of the civs and look on the barracks, you will notice that we have the rigorous training. A lot of people don't know about this, but essentially any units you garrison inside a barracks for a determined amount of time increase in experience and therefore become much more dangerous troops. We've seen this utilized, I think, twice on 0AD Newbie Rush very deliberately. I think it was Edworth who used it on his cavalry to incredible effect. It works with stables and with barracks, but you basically garrison units in them and leave them there, and they get stronger over time the longer you can leave them. Obviously they are not collecting resource or building, so it's up to you. A lot of people don't do it because they would sooner have their units active when they're not fighting. But you can give yourself a fighting advantage with this, and it appears that Langbart is planning to put an indicator in the GUI in-game when you're playing and spectating. If you have people stored in and garrisoned inside a barracks or a stable, it will show you how much experience they've gained and whether they've gained the max, and you can take them out and they are proper full-on killing machines and stuff. I think that's going to be a great feature. That will be, it's not present in version 1.6.5 of the BoonGui mod, but it will feature in a future one, and I am massively looking forward to that. So there you go, that is the BoonGui mod. If you haven't got it already, it may not be your thing, but certainly for if you're interested in analysis, if you're interested, certainly if you're doing commentary like I am, or anything YouTube related, or you like watching team game replays yourself and you want to see where everybody is succeeding or failing, this is the mod for you, and I would urge you to download it. The download links and links to the forum where you can get it are in the video description. But that's it for this very, very belated edition of 0AD Newbie Rush mod features. We'll be back hopefully soon with another one on, as I mentioned before, the Delenda Est mod. That's probably going to be a bit of a monster episode, that. Until then, I'll look forward to seeing you in the future videos, and please do go ahead, leave your feedback and comments. Do you use the Boon GUI mod, or are you thinking of using it? Will it help you? Has it helped you? Let me know in the comments below the video, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please do leave a comment, drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell icon to be notified of future episodes. If you'd like one of your matches featured on the show, see the video description of how you can submit your replays. And if you can't wait for the next episode, then why not check out these playlists in the end titles for more replays, commentary, and tutorials on 0AD Newbie Rush. I'll see you in the next video.